With all the progress that is being made in science and technology, it's hard to believe in 2025 that Ireland, in some ways, looks to be moving back towards medieval times or even the Stone Age. What am I talking about? Well, the provision of housing. Things are so bad at the minute that punters are having to fork out for log cabins and garden sheds in gardens to live in just to get a roof over their head. This is another mark of this disastrous coalition Irish government. This is actually happening today as we speak, and I want to get into some details in this one. Some of you may have seen this coming out through the week. I've been covering other stories, so wanted to have a little better look at it today, an in-depth look at it. Irish Examiner were reporting the government's bed in a shed plan. Imagine that, a government in 2025 putting an option forward to their people to say, okay, guys and girls, we've got a solution to your housing crisis, a bed in a shed. Government's bed in a shed plans highlights Ireland's desperate housing situation. It highlights Ireland's woefully inadequate, inept and treacherous government situation, I would say. In the midst of a housing crisis, it seems utterly insane that people who have found their own cost-effective solution would be subject to enforcement orders, writes Elaine Loughlin. And of course, there's been instances of people recently who have had to put up modular homes or log cabin type buildings to live in and were told that they'd face jail, or they have to knock them down or remove them because they don't have the right planning permission, because quite simply they can't wait around on a housing list for 10 or more years while their local council gets their act together. Subject to proper planning procedures, log cabins and modular homes will be permitted to be erected on council serviced site around Laois. And there we have it. A nice wooden home, shutters, wooden doors, wooden roof, wooden everything. It's like something out of the medieval times. That's what you would have got in an old medieval castle where the peasants lived. They couldn't afford to sleep in the towers like the lords. Government's latest bed in a shed proposal only highlights the desperate situation many people find themselves in and should not be celebrated. Well, who's celebrating? Who's celebrating? What is there to celebrate? The proposal to exempt log cabins from the planning has been positively spun by the coalition as a way to allow for a younger person to live independently of the family home. Yeah, in a shed. That's no positive spin on that. And also gives parents the option to right size within their own community while maintaining the support of their family in close proximity. Maybe the parents can move into the shed and let the kids and the family move into the main house. This is ridiculous. And I'm even talking about this. As Labour's Conor Sheehan put it, the government is evicting people from the box room to move them into the garden shed. So it's looked upon almost as a move, like an upwards move. If you get out of the box room in your parents' house and into the garden shed, you're moving up in the world. The proposal is addressing the reality that many young people and families face, unable to afford bricks and mortar home or spiralling rents, have resorted to drastic measures. Take a short trip around any semi-suburban area. The number of log cabins, portable buildings and modular homes that have been craned into back gardens will become apparent. This is not progress. This is not moving forward. We need to deal with the root cause of this problem instead of dealing with the symptoms. Prevention is better than cure. Little snippet here from the Irish Independent. Quote here, if a landlord can buy a log cabin for €30,000 and charge €22,000 a month, it's a no-brainer. Housing crisis raises demand for an alternative accommodation. That's true. What an absolute racket this will be for landlords. 30 grand for a log cabin, 2 grand a month within 15 months? You've paid it off and everything after that is profit. No mortgage, nothing to worry about. Just lifting that cash, 2 grand a month. Uptick in young couples with children. seeking modular homes. So it's not just single people moving out of the spare room in mum and dad's house. This is young families, young couples with children seeking modular homes, says the owner of a log cabin company. And this is a quote from a chap called Alan McCoy. Can't afford to move out or save. A log cabin is a great option for them. Of course it is. Lots of money to be made off the back of this. And, business is business. The owner of one of Ireland's biggest log cabin companies has said the demographic of his customers is young couples with a child who are disheartened and broken by the lack of affordable housing. Disheartened and broken. So into the shed you go, into the cabin you go. Alan McCoy, who runs Eco Home in Tullamore, County Offaly, said his business has increased 20% year on year. Not hating on the business owner. He's got a business. He's got to make money. And it just so happens to be that the Irish government's handing him profits on a plate, because they can't provide the homes. And the people that need home can't afford to move in anywhere else or rent. So what's the option? A shed or a log cabin in 2025 in Ireland. Builds of modular units without planning permission will be limited to big gardens under proposed new rules. The relaxation of planning restrictions to boost housing supply won't benefit those in urban estates or built up areas. Yeah, it's bad enough. People are crammed in tight enough as it is in many urban areas and estates. Imagine what little space they have being used to accommodate sheds and log cabins. The government is pushing to exempt cabin-style modular appointments from needing planning to increase the housing stock. What next? Tents? Wigwams? Shipping containers? The move is not intended to be widely used in built-up areas. Notice, widely used, which means there will be an option or a loophole will be built into this somewhere, I would think, to allow this to happen in the same areas that they're saying it shouldn't happen in. Currently, extensions can be built at the back of houses which are less than 40 square metres without planning permission, but they have to be attached to the house. So the coalition, the rogues, are looking to expand these planning exemptions to include detached extensions, such as cabin-style houses, which could provide a downsizing option for family members. However, there would still need to be 25 square metres of free space in the garden. That's not much. 5 metres by 5 metres. That's just a little patch. So that's the state of play as per right now. People that are in houses, in mum and dad's houses, the young people working, paying their taxes, you would like to think that they could at least rent a place or get their foot on the housing market, but instead they're having to resort to move into log cabins maybe, or garden sheds at the bottom of mum and dad's garden, or maybe somebody else's garden. Crazy state of affairs we're in at the minute, and the government really is doing nothing about it. They're behind on their house building targets. They're behind on everything. They're moving people backwards instead of moving people forwards. Leave me your thoughts, comments and opinions below. I'm Rick Munn, No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.